The sun burned the desert like a furnace, turning the ground to shimmering gold and the air to glass. A vulture hung lazy above a broken wagon, circling slow, waiting. The wagon leaned half buried in the sand, one wheel cracked, its paint peeled and scorched. Inside, a woman lay bound, wrists raw, lips split, eyes half open but still alive. Her breath came dry and shallow, the sound of something fading but not yet gone. The ropes had cut deep into her skin, and a single half-empty water skin rolled near her boot, dropped maybe by whoever left her to die. In the distance, hooves echoed. A lone rider followed the trail west, dust rising behind him like smoke. His name was Elias McCrae, a man who'd buried too many friends and trusted too few. When he saw the wagon, he almost kept going, until he heard a sound so faint it barely reached his ears. A whisper carried by the wind. A plea. Elias slowed his horse, eyes narrowing beneath the brim of his hat. The air carried a scent: blood, sweat, and rope. He climbed down, boots crunching against the dry dirt, hand resting on the worn handle of his Colt. The vulture drifted higher, nervous now. As he came closer, he saw her, young, maybe 25, tied like an animal, her skin pale as paper. For a heartbeat, he thought she was gone. Then her lips moved. Her voice broke through the still air, ragged and soft. "I beg you. It hurts so bad." Elias froze. The words hit harder than a bullet. He cut the rope fast, catching her before she fell. She was light, too light. Fever burned through her skin. He found the canteen at his saddle and touched the water to her lips. She coughed, then drank greedily, like she hadn't felt water in days. Her hands trembled. Her eyes fluttered open, wide with pain and fear. He laid her in the shade beside the wagon, tearing his own sleeve to wrap the wounds around her wrists. Her skin was torn, the rope burned still bleeding. Around her neck hung a small silver cross, dark with dried blood. She held it tight, knuckles white, as if letting go meant dying. Elias looked around. No wagon team, no footprints, no wagon tracks leading away. Whoever left her here didn't want her found. The sky stretched endless above them, blue and merciless. He poured the last of the water onto her wrists, watching her breathe. Her eyes closed again, but not before a tear slipped down through the dust. He sighed, slinging her over his arms and lifting her onto his horse. "You're safe now, girl," he whispered. "Just hold on." But even as he said it, he felt something shift in the wind. This wasn't just cruelty, it was a warning. By the time they reached his small ranch outside Sagebrush Bend, the sun was dying over the ridge. Elias laid her on his cot, fed the fire, and worked through the night. He cleaned her wounds, changed her bandages, spooned small sips of broth between her lips. When she woke the next morning, the first thing she saw was the wooden ceiling above her and the smell of coffee drifting through the air. For a moment, she thought she'd died, but pain reminded her she hadn't. Elias sat by the stove, bare-armed, stirring beans in a tin pot. His voice was low, steady. "Easy now, you're safe." She blinked, unsure. "Where am I?" "Sagebrush Bend," he said. "My place. You were near gone when I found you." He handed her a cup of water. "Drink slow." For 2 days she drifted between waking and dreams. When the fever finally broke, the world returned in color. She sat up, weak but alive. "Thank you," she whispered. Elias nodded without looking up. "You want to tell me who did this to you?" She hesitated, eyes fixed on the floor. "My boss," she said at last. "Victor Hale. I worked at his ranch by the river. He came to the barn one night, tried to touch me. I hit him with a bucket. His wife saw us, thought I wanted him." Her voice cracked. "She tied me up, said I'd learn shame." Elias stared into the fire, jaw tight. "And they left you out there?" She nodded. "I didn't cry. Not until you came." He didn't answer, just ladled a bowl of beans and set it beside her. "Eat. You'll need your strength." Days passed. The ranch was quiet but tense. One afternoon, Elias saw tracks in the dirt, fresh, heavy, heading west. Too neat to be drifters. He felt it in his gut. Somebody knew she was alive. That night, the wind came hard over the plains. The lantern outside flickered weakly. Elias checked his rifle, checked the door. Inside, May sat wrapped in a blanket, her face pale but calm. "Can't sleep?" he asked. She shook her head. Every time I close my eyes, I hear him. Then don't close them, he said softly. Not yet. They sat in silence, two broken souls bound by fear and something else neither could name. At dawn, the dogs barked. Elias moved to the window. 3 riders approached, dust trailing behind. At the front road Victor hailed. Elias stepped onto the porch, rifle in hand. You got something of mine, McCrae, Victor called. Elias didn't move. Don't see your name on her. Victor sneered. She's a liar and a thief. She belongs to the law. May appeared behind Elias, voice trembling. You left me to die. The rancher's grin vanished. He spurred his horse, lunging forward, but Elias met him halfway. The fight was rough, dirt and fists flying. When it was done, Victor was on his back, bloodied and beaten. Go home, Elias said. Next time, bring the truth. Victor spat red into the dirt. This ain't over. He rode off into the horizon, leaving only dust and hatred behind. For 2 quiet days, the ranch slept under uneasy skies. Then the sheriff came riding in with Victor by his side. Elias stood tall as they dismounted. McCrae, the sheriff said, I hear you're keeping a woman that don't belong to you. Elias's voice stayed calm. She belongs to herself. May stepped forward. He's lying. I stole nothing. Ask him where the rope burns came from. The sheriff studied her, then Victor. Check that wagon by the creek, he told his deputy. Moments later, the man returned holding a torn piece of cloth stained with blood, the Hale family crest stitched in gold. The sheriff's gaze turned cold. You've got a strange way of taking care of your help, Hale. Victor blustered, shouting, but the lawman only said, maybe not today. But I'll be watching you. When the riders left, the land fell still again. May leaned against the doorframe, exhausted, tears carving clean lines through the dust on her cheeks. Elias stood beside her, silent. Days turned into weeks. Her hands healed. Her fear faded. She learned to ride again, to mend fences, to breathe without shaking. Elias watched her with quiet pride. One evening, as the sun bled gold over the valley, she brought him a bowl of stew. You cook better than any trail hand I ever met, he said. She smiled. Guess hunger makes everything taste good. He looked at her then, and for once, the ghosts behind his eyes were gone. You gave this place life again, he said softly. Guess we both needed saving. The wind whispered through the open fields, carrying the scent of wildflowers. Months later, a cradle sat by the window, soft blankets folded neatly inside. May hummed as she worked, her voice full and steady. Elias stepped in from the yard, sunlight on his shoulders. You know, he said, smiling, this place finally feels like home. She looked up from the cradle. It was always home. We just had to earn it. Outside, the river glimmered silver beneath the stars. The land that had once taken everything from them now gave something back. Quiet, peace, love. Maybe that was the lesson. Buried in the dust of the West. That even the hardest ground can bloom again if you water it with kindness. And somewhere in the silence, the echo of her voice still lingered, soft, trembling, and strong. I beg you, it hurts so bad. But not anymore. The dawn crept over the valley like a whisper, soft and uncertain. The sky blushed red against the mountains, and Samuel stood alone beside the smoldering remains of last night's fire. The echoes of Lily's cries still lived in the air, and he could still see the shadow of his own trembling hands as he pressed them against the wound on her side. He'd done what he could, cleaned the blood, stitched it as his mother once taught him. But the fever had taken hold, and all he could do now was wait. Her breath came shallow. Each rise and fall of her chest felt like a prayer answered halfway. A coyote howled in the distance, and Samuel's eyes lifted to the ridge where the light touched the rock's gold. He saw them then, riders. Dust trailing behind their horses, 5 silhouettes moving fast, hunting. They had found them. He turned back to Lily. They're comin', sweetheart, he whispered. I ain't leavin' you again. Not this time. Her eyelids fluttered. Sam, if you run, maybe you'll. No, he said sharply. A man don't run from what he loves. He reached for the rifle leaning by the fire. The metal was cool, heavy, steady in his hands, everything he wasn't. He checked the chamber, then glanced once more at her pale face. The riders drew closer, their voices carrying through the wind. men laughing, the sound cruel and cold. Samuel moved down toward the edge of the creek, crouched low among the reeds. He'd built a small trap there the night before, trip lines and a narrow path funneled between rocks. A man who knew the land could turn it into a weapon. The first horse splashed into the creek. Samuel waited until the second man followed, then fired once. The sound cracked across the canyon. The first rider fell, screaming as his horse bucked and reared. Chaos erupted. Gunfire roared back, bullets slicing through air and bark. Samuel moved like a shadow, ducking behind a fallen log, returning fire in measured bursts. He could hear their curses. "He's by the water. Get around him." 2 more shots, 2 more men fell. But then silence. The last one, their leader, rode straight into the open, gun raised, eyes burning like hellfire. It was Carson, the man who'd once been Samuel's brother in arms, before greed and hate had turned him. Carson dismounted slowly, boots crunching on gravel. "You really think you can save her, Sam? After what you done?" Samuel stepped out, rifle steady. "I ain't the one who left her to die." Carson laughed. "You think love makes you righteous? She begged me too, same as she begged you. Only I was man enough to walk away." Something inside Samuel snapped. He raised the rifle, but Carson was faster. His bullet grazed Samuel's shoulder, spinning him back. Pain flared, sharp and white. The 2 men faced each other, blood on the sand, history burning between them. Carson smirked. "You always were too soft. Too scared to do what needed doing." Samuel's hands trembled, but his voice didn't. "Maybe, but I ain't scared to die for her." He fired once more. The shot hit true. Carson staggered, eyes wide, and fell to his knees before collapsing in the mud. Silence. Only the wind moved now. Samuel dropped to one knee, pressing a hand to his wound. Blood leaked through his fingers, but he forced himself up, stumbling toward the fire where Lily lay. She was awake, barely. Her lips trembled as she looked at him. "Sam." He knelt beside her, brushing the hair from her face. "It's done. He won't hurt you no more." Her eyes filled with tears. "You're bleeding." He smiled faintly. "I've been worse." She reached up weakly, fingers tracing his cheek. "Promise me something. Anything. Don't carry this with you. Don't let this place turn you to stone." He pressed his forehead to hers. "You keep breathing, and I'll keep believing." Her eyes fluttered shut. For a moment, he thought she was gone, but then, a shallow breath. Then another, faint, but steady. Hours passed. The light softened, and the air grew warm. Samuel sat beside her, his shirt bound around his shoulder, rifle across his lap. Every sound, the rustle of grass, the whisper of wind, felt alive again. He heard the faint jingling of spurs before he saw the figure. Sheriff Maddox. The old man rode in slow, rifle resting across his saddle. He saw the bodies by the creek and dismounted without a word. "Carson?" the sheriff asked quietly. Samuel nodded. "It's over." The sheriff looked toward Lily. "She'll make it." Samuel's eyes softened. "If there's mercy left in this land, she will." The sheriff sighed. "You done what needed doing, Sam. Ain't no shame in that." Samuel looked out over the valley, sunlight breaking through the clouds. "There's always shame," he murmured. "It just don't always feel like it." The sheriff tipped his hat and walked back to his horse. "Take her east when she's fit. There's a doc in Silver Creek who owes me a favor." When he was gone, Samuel turned back to Lily. Her hand moved slightly, fingers brushing his. "I told you it'd be quick," he whispered. "But maybe it don't have to end at all." Her lips curved, the faintest smile. "Then don't let it." He stayed beside her until dusk. When the sun sank low, painting the hills in fire and gold, she finally opened her eyes fully. Strength had returned, fragile, but real. They packed what little they had, and Samuel helped her onto the horse. She leaned into him, her breath against his neck. The land stretched out before them, endless, quiet, and new. Behind them lay the graves, the ghosts, the blood. Ahead lay the promise of peace, if such a thing still existed. As they rode toward the horizon, the wind carried her soft words. "Thank you for not leaving." He smiled, eyes fixed on the fading light. A man don't run from what he loves. The desert swallowed their tracks, and the night rose over the plains. Somewhere, a coyote called again, but this time, it sounded less like mourning and more like freedom. And though neither spoke again, their silence said everything. Because in a world built on pain, sometimes the gentlest act of love is staying when it hurts the most. Thank you so much for watching this story till the very end. Your support means more than words can ever say. If you felt the depth of this journey, don't forget to give it a like, share it with someone who needs it, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Together, we'll keep bringing powerful stories to life, and your presence here makes all the difference.